Hello, Robbie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. How's Comic-Con treating you currently?
Oh, this is my first time at New York Comic-Con. I've been going to San Diego for like 8 or 9 years, and this is my first time in NYC. We usually do anime NYC. So this is amazing. I got a chance to walk around the floor yesterday. Artist Alley is incredibly impressive. All of the vendors' room is full and buzzing. I'm digging it, baby.
First big question for Akechi, how did your audition process go for the role?
It was a one and done. Max Mittelman, who, spoiler alert, is in the room with us right now.
Hi, everybody!
And he suggested me for the studio, and I think it was the last main character to be cast in the game. And they sent it to me, and I did an audition, and then they hired me, which was nice.
What was there, because usually for your audition process you get like a little loose description of the character. What was that like loose description they gave you by chance?
6 years ago now at this point. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's usually a couple paragraph breakdown. It gives you a little bit, and then I set the vocal tone based off of the Japanese, and then when we came into the studio, I got a little bit more of a history and a backstory about the character. Didn't even know about his ways. Spoiler alert! If you're waiting to play it on Switch, so I decided to limit my information about what I knew about him at first, and then we got into it. It was really fun.
I mean, that's also a really good lead-in. So like throughout the story, Akechi obviously becomes a little bit more a little screwed in the head a little bit. How much of that are you told ahead of time?
They were hinted at our first couple of sessions, and then once we started getting into some moments where they were veiled moments of letting that peek through his outer persona, if you will, that's when we started to get into it. They're like, okay, he's going to do X, Y, Z in the future. You need to be prepared for that. And then that gave me a little bit more to run off of. So it was fun having those moments where you can kind of just get a tiny little glimpse behind the mask.
Get it. This guy's a jokester.
Yeah. Listen, you brought me here.
How did your voice recording sessions go for Persona?
Oh, they were really fun. We used the Japanese, I would say, 50% of the time or so for some important lines. And then I think at one point we abandoned it and just sort of cruised and did our lines once we had found that character a little bit better. And then when it came time for those big scenes that everybody seems to like, we just went for it. Yeah, and they were like, go as big as you want. And the Japanese went pretty big. So I don't think we were restrained very much. We had great guidance on the production end, great voice director, and then I was just able to kind of cruise with it.
Persona 5 by far has become one of the biggest titles in the Persona franchise. Even got a secondary version with the Persona 5 Royal.
Yes.
How is it like falling back into the character after a few years away from Akechi?
Oh man, like a glove. It was really enjoyable. You don't get the opportunity to revisit that many characters in video games unless you're part of like an ongoing series. And I think this recording was a couple of years afterwards, and I knew that Akechi would be getting a ton more content, and basically the third semester is he and Joker. So having to get to come back to a character I already enjoyed and having a spin on it, and I won't give the spin away, was a lot more fun. I felt like I got to play 3 different versions of that character, and I liked them all equally.
Persona 5 even got an anime at some point. What was it like voicing a role originally from a video game going over to an animation product?
Very easy. You know, if you know the character, it doesn't really matter what media you're in. And when we were dubbing that, it's sort of a recap of the whole story. So it was fun to find some extra little moments in there that weren't originally in the game. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad it got a dub. I think for a minute there, they weren't so sure. So
at some point, there was a redub for Sailor Moon where you took the helm as Tuxedo Mask.
Sure.
Were there any pieces you took into consideration doing a new take on a well-established character like him?
Yeah, I mean, there were 3 original guys in Canada, and they didn't even finish the series. So I had a little bit to go off. I watched a few key scenes, like the breakup scene, the reveal scene, a little bit of the movies, and then I just ran away from the English that already existed and just went off of the Japanese and what we were trying to make with this new show, and connect with my new castmates. And I hope we gave the people something really pure to the original Japanese and unaltered by its westernization, and the fans really seem to like it. And then to get to go on and do Crystal and Eternal and all of the continuing series, yeah, it was a real honor.
You do definitely have some key roles that people are going to pick out, like
Sure.
obviously Akechi, Tuxedo Mask. What do you believe is your most underrated role? So where you think you performed your best, but no one really takes note of it?
Well, that's a good question. I've never really thought of it that way. I don't know. Like, I've got 300 something credits on IMDb, and I do multiple characters in each. So, in the end of the day, I've probably done like literally thousands of characters. Underrated. Oh man, I think my Kenshiro is pretty good. I like my Kenshiro. It's not like people don't like it or recognize it, but I think it's one of those roles that, because it was the standalone video game, not a lot of people remember. And but
what was the game actually?
It was called Fist of the North Star.
Oh yeah, okay, no,
Paradise.
I gotcha.
But hey, keep an ear out. You never know. Maybe old Kenshiro will be back around.
Now, I think a big thing, especially for Akechi with the role, do you ever feel fans have issues separating the character from the actor? Like if they have any negative emotion towards that character, that they sometimes send it your way?
Very, very few outliers. I think when something first released, maybe that happens. Laura Bailey unfortunately encountered a ton of that with The Last of Us, and had some unfortunate, conversations, or shouldn't even call them that, people yelling into the abyss at her. But yeah, it happens rarely. But the problem is whenever you're dealing with a complex character like that, or someone who does something bad, and you really internalize these characters that you love, and then they do something to hurt them, that venom can be pretty bad. And we're just people. We're just people hanging out. Don't tell me that you want to kill my family because you didn't like a cartoon character I did.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to close this out, do you have a dream role that you want to do for a certain, like, either it's an anime series, a video game, or whatever?
I don't know. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and I did that. And I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess I always joke that if you make me a Saiyan, and then you make me a JoJo, I'll just retire anime. So you heard it here, Viz. You heard it here, Crunchyroll. You want me out of the game? Make me a Super Saiyan or make me JoJo, and you'll never hear from me again.
Gonna have to fight Ray for that one.